We know Thekla, Aminata. Thekla's not in the tournament, but we know Sisters of Sen will be in the tournament and Blood and Guts. We know Aminata and Hater, they're in the tournament and Blood and Guts. That's a first round matchup anyway. That's going to be done this upcoming week, I assume. And then you have one more week for Hater and Aminata. I assume they're winning, but even if they don't, we all think that Mercedes and Athena is winning that side of the bracket. So they can be out. I see how this works. Maybe Bane and Ford are in Blood and Guts. They might lose in the first round. I picked Ty J to win in the first round. I don't think Tony, Mina, Windsor, and Rio are in Blood and Guts, so you don't have to worry about that. Now, it doesn't. I think the teams that are in Blood and Guts would be out the week before Blood and Guts.
So I'm looking at it and I'm like, Aminata and Hater are in Blood and Guts. Sisters of Sin are in Blood and Guts.
Yeah.
Bane and Ford, I think, are part of Blood and Guts, or Ty J. One of the two, really, honestly, both those two teams, all four of those teams could make up Blood and Guts plus one more. Just looking at it, Thekla and who am I missing from this? Thekla on the bad side. Who would be on the good side? We're missing one. Aminata, Hater, Ty J. That's four. Do you do a fifth?
Willow. I assume Willow.
Well, then, yeah. Okay, she's free because Monet and Athena. And then, Sisters of Sin with Thekla and Bane and Ford.
Okay.
There's your five. So I get your point. The idea is that you take a week off and it could be for Blood and Guts, but then, I don't know. It's like it's a step in the right direction, but if you're paying attention, it's a little bit. There are a lot of holes there that kind of form. One of the holes that I saw actually, I saw Alvarez point this out, and I think he was right to point it out. They say on Saturday at Wrestle Dream, they're like, we're going to announce the brackets for the Blood and Guts teams, but by the
tag team title,
for the tag team title, sorry, not the Blood and Guts, for the tag team titles, and then by Wednesday when they go to announce who's a part of it. There were teams that were not put together yet, like Monet and Athena, and then they got the brackets. So it's like, what did Tony have before he announced the brackets on the show? And I understand that for some people they're going to be like, it's really nitpicky, but the reality is he said, I have the brackets and I will reveal them, but he doesn't actually have the brackets to reveal. It's better than doing FTR and then a bunch of people quarterfinal, nebulous. But like if you're a viewer who's watching, you're wondering like, wait a minute, what was supposed to be Mercedes? If they can clean it up, by the way, I'm not saying that they're completely inept and that it's over. You can easily be like, Billy confronts Athena and says, hey, what the hell? It was supposed to be us, and you made them have to change the graphic, blah, 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 blah. And then they kind of explain that away. It was just kind of the moment, the way that they paced the show was like, we were supposed to have these teams set up, and then everything changed. But they made it present as if we had everything set and we're good. It's just kind of explaining away how it works.
They kind of told you they didn't have everything set anyway because they did the 4-way tag match where it's like, well, the winner gets to pick their opponent in the first round. So that was immediately going to be like, you didn't have a set bracket because theoretically in kayfabe, you didn't know who was going to win that match and you didn't know who they were going to pick. So I don't think this seems very nitpicky of this because you can say I'm going to announce the bracket. That doesn't, to me, give the impression of like, oh, we have the bracket set. It gives the impression of like, we will give you the bracket on here. It might not come together until the last minute because who knows what's going to happen during the show. But we promise by the end of the show, we will give you the bracket. It's kind of like almost like the NCAA tournament is, hey, we will announce the bracket on Sunday, but you got to wait until Saturday when championship games are still going on. You got the selection committee who got to talk all day on Sunday, and then they don't have the bracket until late Sunday night. But you know you're getting it on Sunday. You just don't know when because everything's still got to be decided on like Sunday afternoon and stuff. So I don't buy that. I see what it is. I just don't buy it.
If the verbiage was, we have the brackets, that's one thing. If the verbiage was, we know who the tag teams are, that's another thing.
They said they would announce the bracket. That's it.
They would announce the brackets.
Yeah.
Did they announce that we know who the teams are, or did they just say...
No. Like, they didn't say anything about the teams. They said we're doing 8 teams. but they didn't say anything about like these are the 8 teams. That was the whole thing. It's like nobody knew who the 8 teams were.
So basically, they said we have the teams, and we have the bracket, but they didn't have it set.
It says AEW Women's World Tag Team Championship bracket reveal. Tune in to see the highly anticipated bracket reveal for the tournament. That's it. It doesn't say who the teams are or anything like that. We're just gonna reveal the bracket. I think this is more of we know Tony's a sports guy. I think this is more of kind of like the NCAA tournament. That's how you can quantify this. We know on Sunday, whatever Sunday it is in March, or maybe it's early March, late February. We know on that Sunday we are going to get the 64. Now it's like 68 teams. We know we're going to get the 64 teams that are going to be announced. We don't know who the 64 teams are. We can guess. We know some of them of like, oh, well, because this team won their conference tournament, this team's ranked number 1. Like, obviously, we know certain teams on there, but we don't know where they're going to be slotted. And as I said, championship games are still happening that weekend. So certain teams can play their way in that weekend. The selection committee still has to talk about things all day Sunday to figure out the bracket. That's how I'm looking at this.
Okay, that's one way to look at it. I looked at it as you're telling me you have brackets, and then you're also during the show not set. The teams aren't set, so it's like, how can you get brackets for a show when teams aren't set up yet? Or at least all the teams that you think are set up. What changed from when you announced it to throughout the show? Suddenly, it was there were different teams. That's all.
Yeah, it feels. I get it. It feels a little nitpicky, and it feels kind of like you're looking for criticism to look for credit. Don't listen to Alvarez. I said this on the show yesterday. Don't listen to him. I'm more correct than him.
Because he charges us too much.
Yeah, exactly.
I get it.
He thinks he's so much better now because he's doubled his cameo rate. He's wrong.
Ruined everything. No, but I think he had a good point. I'm not saying that I'm going to stand and fight this point. I think it was just a point that was worth mentioning when you're trying to put together a cohesive story, and it's not lacking. It's just I look at this and I don't see anyone other than Tony and Mina versus Monet and Athena, and I'm hoping I'm wrong. But if that's the story that they're trying to tell to crown your first women's world tag team title holders, champions, then the only story that I'm seeing coming out of this, and you're not slick, by the way, is this is how you're heating up Billy versus Athena for Final Battle, because you've got Billy Starks crashing out on socials afterwards because Monet was brought on to be the partner. And like, if that's how you're going to tell the story about how you get to Final Battle, it's like, all right, sure. But otherwise, like, there are no other teams that I'm looking at being like, okay, they're going to beat these people. It just really feels like they're setting up. This is the A story. We're telling you it's Tony and Mina versus Athena and Mercedes.
Well, the other stuff they're setting up is, we literally talked about it, blood and guts. We have all these teams that are probably going to be fighting in blood and guts as well. So now they're fighting in this tournament beforehand. Oh, like that makes some sense there.
I get it. I'd rather they go for the prestige of winning the tag titles and not the prestige of being in the first women's blood and guts.
Well, they're still trying to win the tag titles. It's not like they're just throwing the tournament because they're in blood and guts, but like they're just telling stories through the matches of, hey, these matches are happening. We're going to add a little bit of heat to these women as they go into blood and guts. Like they're probably not going to win the tournament. I agree. I mean, I picked Athena and Mercedes to win. I think they're going to beat Tony and Mina in the finals. SP3 had the same finals. He had Tony and Mina winning. Jensen had the same finals. He had Mercedes and Athena winning. I think most people have that as the finals. But let's not dismiss the first and second round matchups that you can still tell stories through. And they are in setting up these women in these matchups. And we assume, now this isn't confirmed, we don't know the full blood and guts teams yet, but we assume that some of these people, certainly Thekla Aminata, or I keep saying Thekla, and she's not in this tournament. Hayter Aminata, Hayter and Aminata, and Sisters of Sin are in blood and guts. So you're telling the blood and guts story through this first round match as well.
Yeah, someone in the chat saying we basically knew the rest of the teams. That was the other thing too. Was I and you and others have mentioned that we were hoping for just a larger bracket, or at least just different teams. That was something that kind of got to me too. Was there are so many teams that you can spotlight and say we have.
Who else are you putting in here?
You can put in Deanna and the Vendetta. You can bring back.
They don't exist. We love Deanna, but
you can bring these people. That's the problem. You can bring them in and say they exist and put them in a first round match against someone. Like you can do a 16 team tag tournament. And putting me on the spot means I have to bring up the whole fucking roster again. So again, I have to look at these things again so that I remember who's actually part of it. But like you have a deep enough women's roster. You can bring people in. You just had Lacey Lane. You can bring in Casey Catanzaro and have them team up for a first round or even a second round shocker. Like there are things you can do to expand who's part of it.
Then people, not saying you specifically, she does got visa stuff. We don't know if she can.
Didn't she say she cleared it and she's back?
I don't recall. Maybe she did, but
I feel like she said she's back because her visa.
Who's she teaming with?
Emi Sakura. I'm literally just looking at the roster and throwing people together right now. Do not get me wrong. Layla Gray is another person that you can bring out. Layla Gray can team up with Red Velvets. I don't know. Just again, you have all of these people that I'm looking at on your roster who are still active.
Then people, and I'm not saying you specifically, but certain people are going to be like, who are these teams? They're thrown together. We know they're losing in the first round. Why are we doing these matchups when these teams don't actually exist and they're just going to lose to the more established teams in the first round? No, I'm fine with 8 teams. I don't think that you needed to throw together. I don't think they have. I mean, you threw together what? Just 4 teams? You still need 2 more that you got to throw together.
And you bring them in, and someone saying they aren't signed. Why do you bring them in? Because you give them an opportunity and say, this is the story. If they show out well, they might be seen in AEW wrestling moving forward. They might be in Ring of Honor. The Hex are another group that you can bring in because they've been on the show before. My point of all this is
like 5 years ago.
3 years ago. You can make that. They've been on Ring of Honor at least. The point is, and again, like if they're not signed, you give them the opportunity in kayfabe to be a part of something that they're trying to build as a bigger deal. And if you're doing an 8-team tag team tournament and being like, oh, it's in service of the titles, and Blood and Guts. It's like, well, no, don't tell me 2 stories that are completely opposite. Tell me the story of the tag team title tournament. Don't put Blood and Guts in the middle of it. Put Blood and Guts to the side of it. And telling me that you're going to have a couple of teams get out and be like, oh, but we're going to go compete in a cage and beat each other up. To me, that's like trying to tell me that's a consolation prize.
The Hex have not been on AEW ROH television ever. Ever. They were in ROH when it was ROH before Tony bought it, but they have never been on ROH and AEW television. Great, Allison Kay has been on ROH TV. Marty Bell has not. So Marty Bell has, but you're never as a tag team. So you're literally just
you let them know, look, we have a tag team, and this is some of our footage from the indies that we have of us being tag teams or tag team champions. There are ways you can tell these stories and still make it believable that they have worked together as a tag team. It's a world tag team title. Give world tag teams a chance. Hashtag or something. Also, AEW Rampage 2024. Harley Cameron and Saraya defeat Allison Kay and Marty Bell. So don't tell me the Hex haven't been on TV. They have. And it was last year.
Oh, they were not referred to as the Hex. So.
No, they were referred to as their tag team. So don't tell me they haven't been on TV because they have. Ha! Joel was right in this particular case.
Great. They were on Rampage in 2024 on a show no one watched.
It's like watching Ring of Honor.
Fair. I don't disagree with that. And you're just trying to throw ROH tag teams on here. This is like saying Deanna and Taya were a tag team last year. Put them in the tournament.
You don't get to celebrate your depth by not showing your depth.
And this does show their depth. It's 16 wrestlers. It's 16 women.
Great. Give me
this 30. Does show their depth.
You got 32. Give me access to them. Get them. Show me got a tag teams.
So they can just do a one-off appearance and never be seen again. I'm fine with 8 teams, 16. I don't need thrown together teams that are just going to lose in the first round and never be heard from again. We're creating nitpicks and criticisms that don't need to exist here.
So Willow and Harley have been a tag team forever and ever, amen?
What do you mean? They've been a tag team more recently on AEW television than the Hex and Deanna and Taya. Yes.
So bring them back and let those other tag teams have a shot too. They've been on
what
TV.
Other tag teams?
The ones you just mentioned. You bring them back. You give
yes.
them this.
I understand your point. I understand your point, Joel. You want to bring them back and have them lose in the first round so people then can complain about why are you just doing these random.
They don't.
They are though. You know they are.
You can have people have shock victories and have more stories told by a tag team that doesn't win on the night where they thought they were going to win.
They're okay not going. Sure. But again, now you're just creating criticisms that don't actually exist. Let's do a shock victory for the Hex, even though we're not going to use them. And I get it. Well, you can use them. They're not going to. That's the point. They clearly don't want to sign the Hex. They don't want to do anything with Deanna and Taya. They're not going to. So they're not going to do some type of shock victory. So it's a criticism for the sake of a criticism of why don't you do this? They got 16 women. They got 8 teams that need focus, that have focus with this tournament. They're building blood and guts. They're building Mercedes with more championships. They're building Athena and Billy potentially. They're building Tony and her story after losing the women's title with Mina. They're building 5 or 6 different stories here that I just mentioned. We don't need them to also do throw in teams. They're all going to lose, but maybe just so I can create something out of thin air, they're going to win and get signed. Let them focus on the talent they actually have under contract and the stories that they are actually doing and move forward with that.
Right. I'm really looking forward to the women who have titles already having more titles in a division where they're singles competitors. Really looking forward to it.
Brian Alvarez is now charging $25 for a cameo, and this is the man.
It's because you yelled at him.
This is the man who you're like, Brian Alvarez makes a great point.
I thought he made a good point. I still think he makes a good point. And people were like, you're nitpicking because it's AEW. No, I'm not. I nitpick because TNA fucks shit up too, and so does WWE. So don't give me the whole, you're doing it because it's a I know, I'm an equal opportunity hater. We talk about this frequently. Please don't play this game. Y'all are better than this. I praised you earlier. Don't make me take it back.
Yeah, that was your fault. You don't praise our chat.
No, that's true. You guys suck. A nitpick to you is not a nitpick to everyone, for the record. So again,
okay.
You're not you specifically.
Ah.
Just telling y'all, it's okay. It's okay.
Joel's nitpicking.
Yeah, sure. Enjoy Tony and Mina not getting the tag titles. Enjoy Mercedes and Athena getting the titles.
I will. I think it's great if Mercedes wins more titles. That rules to me.
I'm with Mercedes winning more singles titles. I think her winning a tag title is a little bit much when you're trying to establish this as a big deal.
It is a big deal. How do you not? That does establish it as a big deal. Hey, here's the longest reigning ROH champion. Here's the longest reigning TBS champion. Now they win the tag team titles. That makes it a big deal, Joel.
Why are they in it in the first place?
Did you not watch the show on Wednesday?
Why are they allowed to be in it if they've never been a tag team? Well, other than the one match that they had.
Did you not watch the show on Wednesday?
I'm pretty sure they lost.
Did you not watch the show on Wednesday? It was very clear why they were in it.
Right, because she had cake on her face. That's right, yes.
And Athena was like, hey, there's these new championships. I know you like championships. And Mercedes like, yeah, I do. And if you're Tony Khan, if you're the selection committee, why wouldn't you be like, yes, let me put Mercedes Moné, one of our biggest stars, who has 12 championships, and Athena, who is our longest reigning ROH. Why wouldn't you put them in the tournament? Sorry to the Vendetta and the Hex.
There are other tag teams involved in this, but the point is...
In AEW? No, there's not! Name them!
You can make teams out of this tournament.
They made a team! Athena and Mercedes is the team they made!
Stop saying make as if I'm saying putting together, okay? Make as in make them a big thing. not just throw together the two teams that you have, the two people trying to pretend that they are a team.
Who? Name them. Put a team together.
Put Ty J on a run. Literally anyone who's in this
Okay,
thing.
but you can do that too.
And Penelope Ford on a run.
You can. Who's to say? Just because we think, just here now, I will do your whole. Let me do criticism for criticism here, or let me do fantasy booking for the sake of fantasy booking. You were saying, why can't you? I'm using the Hex as an example here. Why can't you bring in the Hex and have them get a shock victory, and maybe you make them off of that? Okay, Ty J, they can go on this run here. They can, right? Why can't they win this whole thing? Do I think they will? No, it's the same criticism I have of why they won't do it. They won't, but they can, Joel. They can have Ty J win. They can have Penelope Ford and Megan Payne win. We assume Mercedes and Athena and Tony and Mina is the finals, but maybe it's not. They can do these things just like they can do the Hex and everything. They're not going to. So you got to pick a lane on which side you're going to be like, I'm going to criticize them for they can do this, but they're not doing it, or they can do this, but they're not doing it. Pick which one you're on.
I'm on this could be bigger, and this could be in service of a team and not four of your singles champions, or at least four people who are synonymous with your singles titles.
But Ty J could win, right? Just like the Hex could win their first round match that it doesn't actually exist, right?
Great. So you could have expanded it to 16 and told that story.
What story?
The story of any team can win, and we have a depth of women who are ready to go for it.
But there's not the
depth. But they're not. You're right. So they don't have the depth, and that's it. So you get your 8 teams, and you get your thrown together, women's champions teams, and you get what you get, and then you don't get upset, I guess. But it's okay. But it's okay. I'm nitpicking, so I don't.
You are nitpicking.
Everything's perfect in AEW, so it's okay. Don't you worry about it. It's fine. It's cool. Don't worry. I'm sure someone's gonna come in and shout in my ears in the comments and just be like, "Oh, you don't know what you're talking about. You're stupid," and it'll be the same old.
You know why people think you're wrong on this show? You know why so many people think you're wrong?
Because you yell the loudest, and that's what gets engagement.
Because you're wrong. That's why.
I don't think I'm wrong.
Because you're wrong. Your argument is based off of a Brian Alvarez argument.
It wasn't based on Brian's. That was two separate arguments. That was two separate points.
Oh, okay.
But that's fine. Anything else you want to scream about in my ear while we're here?
I don't know. Do you want to be wrong about anything so I can scream at you?